someone who's pushing hard 24/7 and then they get burnout. Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Tiff and Tony Show. Hello everybody, welcome back to another episode with Tiff and Tony. Tony, hello, welcome. How are you doing?
Hello. Yes, I am doing well. I'm doing all right. Car went in for a service this morning and has to get fixed. So not so happy about that because I know it's going to be expensive. But hey, it's life.
Yes, and I can relate to that. Have all the empathy in the world for you for that.
Yes. And you lost your dog yesterday.
Oh my gosh, I know. Well, apparently I didn't lose her. She just decided to go on an adventure for multiple hours. So, yes, we got her back. She's napping peacefully now.
Nice.
I think she just needed a solo adventure, which I can relate to, I suppose.
Yeah, sometimes we need that.
Yes, exactly. Well, speaking of my napping dogs, it's actually the topic that we're going into today is rest, napping, why napping is important, why it helps. Yeah. A lot of, I feel like there's kind of two camps on napping. Some people are like, nap, snap. Who needs a nap? Better be productive. And then other people are like, naps make my life amazing.
Yeah, right. They do. I've listened to and read about all of these productivity tools, right? And I found out that NASA did some high-level research on this whole thing. And they found out that you got 34% more productivity by taking an afternoon nap. So you just get, when you actually take a nap in the afternoon, you get better at everything, right? Everything improves. You're just better at everything.
That's kind of crazy to me. 34%. Mm-hmm. That's over 1/3.
Yeah.
That's pretty crazy. So let's get into specifics. What were some of the benefits that they were saying other than the being more productive? And do we know why it makes you more productive?
That's a good question. So I listened to a podcast by Mind Valley. We're going to include the link to that down below. So there's this, you can check that out and listen to all of the benefits in more detail. What I know about it is the fact that we were meant to actually nap in the afternoon. It's only since the Industrial Revolution that things changed, right? That we went, okay, we've got to work from 9 to 5 and, just knuckle down and get on with it and make it happen. But our brains are not set up. We've got a circadian rhythm, right? That puts us to sleep. So there are natural forces at work within our brain that wakes us up in the morning, and then it takes us about 6 hours, and then that little circadian rhythm starts to tuck in, and that's when you start to feel tired. That's the fight of your brain saying, all right, it's time for a rest, it's time for sleep. And that's why it's normally early afternoon that most people get tired. It's about that 6 hour mark. If you were to actually listen to your body and your brain and take that little nap at that moment in time, then the brain is revitalized, which kickstarts the awake cycle, which then gets you through to the end of the day. There's some rules to napping. You can't nap longer than an hour, because if you do, that gets you into your deep sleep. And you can't nap 6 hours before your normal bedtime, because obviously you need that rhythm of tiredness to kick in for the natural brain. There's a few others that are on the podcast, but I know that it mentions that you live longer. If you nap, you live longer because the body's actually recovering.
I've never been a big napper, and I can't fall asleep when I'm napping. The only times I fall asleep when I'm napping is if I'm really sick or extremely exhausted from some extenuating circumstances, not normal life. I have noticed though, when I nap and let myself rest and be, horizontal and close my eyes and just kind of limit those distractions, that I do wake up feeling refreshed. Mm-hmm. And what about you? What is your experience with napping?
Yeah, I'm a big napper. Since I read the NASA study, I was like, that gives me permission to take naps when I need to. Uh, and I come back refreshed. So I take a lunch break, and it's my lunch break. So I'll eat something, and then I've got a little alarm on my phone. 23 minutes. I don't allow myself any longer than 23 minutes, and I just go and close my eyes. And it's not necessarily a nap. You don't have to fall asleep. It's the rest part of it as well. So even just taking that rest. So I don't always go and nap. I'll go for a walk. I'll go for a hike in the woods and get out in nature, which is another part of that whole resting, napping thing. It's getting away from this thing right here, right? My computer. It's getting away from your study books. It's getting away from your everyday life that gets you up and doing something different and resting the brain, just unplugging. That's the important part of all of that. So yeah, I'm a firm believer in it now. And especially as NASA told me that I'm 34% better at everything, why wouldn't I listen to NASA? And the funny thing is, when you look at it, when you look at our school system, when you look at everything that's set up for young kids, they're actually pushed through the day. And then the issue is they come home and it's homework, organized sport, more homework, potentially dinner, and they're not getting to bed until 9, 10, 11 o'clock at night if you're in high school, sometimes later. In college, you're up all night. And yet, if you look at all of the research out there outside of napping, just about the importance of sleep, 8 hours sleep a night is critically important to us as human beings, to rest, repair, sort of the brain to learn. So why aren't we doing more to help our kids get into the research that we know has been done out there? Why can't we actually allow our kids into that?
So that is reminding me of the slow and steady wins the race mentality of, someone who's pushing hard 24/7, and then they get burnout and then have to kind of completely stop and reorient, versus someone who just kind of like cruising along, slow and steady. I'm going to take my rest breaks when I need them. I'm just kind of climbing, and you don't necessarily experience that burnout that kind of stops you in your tracks and makes you redirect. Yeah. You're able to keep it's more of that like maintenance type mentality versus go hard and figure it out later. And that's what I really appreciate. I used to be a lot more of that go hard, figure it out later mentality. And the older I've gotten, I've just realized that, I just get burnt out. And then life ends up looking worse for me than had I maybe like taken care of myself along the way and listened to my body and listened to my needs. And so that is our challenge to you. Take a nap, see how you feel, take a nap every day for the next week. And I'm pretty sure you might appreciate the results.
Yes, I think you will. Just remember the rules. If you want more of the napping rules, listen to the podcast. It's really interesting. It's fascinating. You actually will find it challenging to find a bigger return on your investment.
I like that. And we're going to end on that. Thank you again for another very practical tool, as always. And we'll see everyone back here next week.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you so much for joining Tony and me in this week's episode of the Tiff and Tony Show. We hope you feel encouraged and motivated to keep growing with us. If you like what we do here at PureGame, one of the best ways you can support us is by liking and sharing this video with your friends on social media. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel using the button directly below this video on YouTube. And you can donate at our website, www.thepuregame.org. And with that, we'll see you right back here next week.